Okay, welcome, Lisa Maloy. Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
coming.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I'll be looking down here and there because my notes are in front of me and your picture's in front of me.
That's totally good.
So you just got back from the women's seminar.
I did.
Anything you want?
Unbelievable. Go ahead. You cut
Oh,
out a little bit. I'm
oh
sorry.
no. Anything you want to share about the women's seminar?
Oh, just kind of like what we were chatting about earlier. How, I mean, like I said, not only is it amazing that like 500 athletes come from all over the U.S. and some from Europe, but just the fact that I mean the pros that come out. Um, the circle of people that we had that we were helping Sandy with. I mean, we're all volunteer. Like we all reach out. She doesn't ask one single person to help because she's just not like she feels like people feel obligated. We all volunteer. Like as soon as we see that she posted or she's talking about it, we're like, okay, what can we do? When is it? We're coming out. So and just how hard we worked to put it together and to look at the finished product was just amazing. And it was I tell everybody every year that I've done this, I feel like I'm at a family reunion every single year because all these like you meet new women or you see women that you saw last year or some of your friends that you used to compete with or like it's so awesome, so empowering.
That is so empowering. And it's funny you say it feels like a family reunion because the
Hmm.
way I found your account, because of course I listened to you on Bikini in the Brain like a year and a half ago, whenever you were
Yeah, it was
on.
about a year ago. Yeah.
Okay, yes. And so I recognized you because I zoomed into Becky Clausen's Instagram story,
Yeah.
and it said family dinner, and I was like, all these people look exactly the same age. This
She's
can't be
the
aunt and
best.
uncle.
Yeah,
And it
she's
was
so
you.
awesome. Yeah, and you know what? I've a lot of the times, like I'll be like, okay, what's Becky posting? What are we, what are we into now? What are we doing? What's the latest and greatest? Because I'm always gonna go to her because she's just like, she's so awesome. She's such a wealth of information. I love it.
Yes, you judges are all so dedicated because I know it's not your main job. You are also a fitness
No.
coach yourself,
Hmm.
correct?
Yes, correct. Yep, I own a gym and I do online coaching.
Okay, wow.
Mm. Yeah.
So, what? Okay, so obviously you're a judge. So I kind of just
Hmm.
jumped into the women's seminar. You are an
Yes.
NPC and IFBB judge. And
Yes.
want to tell us a little bit about your background? You are a pro yourself in
Correct.
bikini. And
Hmm.
I would love to know some of your history, how you got into it, where you went pro, and then what made you decide it's time to hang up the heels, as they say, and become.
Yeah. So I actually, it's such a funny story because I actually turned pro in figure. I'm tiny compared to what figure is now, but back in my day, in the dinosaur age, I call it, is when I turned pro, and that was when figure first came out, right? So I had just had my daughter. She was about a year and a half old, and I was working out in the gym, and one of the NPC judges who I talked to several times. I mean, I didn't know anything about the sport. And I mean, I knew bodybuilding, but he came up to me. He's like, "Have you ever thought about competing?" And I'm like, I don't know how to, I can't, I mean, I haven't done cheerleading since I was in my teens. I would tear a hamstring. I can't flip around on the stage because that's all I knew was bodybuilding and fitness. He
Yeah.
goes, no, 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 there's this new division called figure. I said, oh, well, what is it? He goes, well, we don't really know yet because they just came out with it. I'm like, okay. He goes, just come in shape. And I'm like, okay. So funniest story is I actually did my first show, which was now it's the Las Vegas Classic. It was this, or no, now it's the Steve Carr Classic. It was the Las Vegas Classic.
Okay.
And the women that I was competing against all look like wellness do today. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I look like I do now. And I'm like, okay, this is not for me. Like I don't even know what I'm doing here. But I still placed sixth, right? So I was like, okay, well maybe I'm doing something right. And all I did was each show, like I would just, I would learn and I would ask and I would be like, what do I need to work on? And so within that year and a half, I competed. I did seven shows. And then I went to my first national show and turned pro in 2003 at Team Universe when it was back in New York. And, that was back um, when they were trying to like, I mean, they weren't trying to flood with pro cards, but they were giving out like, so for Team Universe, because it was so big, I had 68 women in my class. Just my height class. So it was me, Amber Littlejohn, and Kimberly Becker that turned pro in our class. So there's three of us. And
Wow.
then, so there were 68 of us, but there was like 30, 32 and all the other classes. There was only four height classes at that time, right? So we were the tall class, but 60, I was like, if I just place top 15, I'll be so excited because I just loved, I never my goal was never to turn pro. It was just to have fun, just to
Yeah.
see, just, oh, I get to go to New York and travel. I'd never been there before. And so I just always kept that attitude of I always wanted to have fun, and I didn't make it about being so competitive. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. So you get a sixth place, and you
Hmm.
are kind of like, whoa, I'm doing something right. There were a lot of people in class. And then how long was it till you went to Team Universe and got your
Year and
first?
a half.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think no, actually, probably less than, so I started, Las Vegas Classic back then was in June.
Okay.
It was either November, yeah, it was Las Vegas Classic. So it was June, and then the following August, I turned pro at Team Universe.
Wow. And you were doing
Yeah.
it for fun every time. So what kept you coming back? Like, what was the fun part for you?
Well, I love meeting new people, right? I love to travel. So I did a couple shows in Vegas, and then I went to Reno, and then I went to Virginia where they used to have the Body Rock figure and Monica Brandt Classic. So I did that show, won that show, came back, went to LA, and actually took third after I just won this big huge show. But I
Wow.
was but the girl that beat me, I was like, oh girl, hands down. Absolutely, right? You're amazing. And then her and I went and competed together 3 weeks later at nationals, and I won my pro card and she took 15th. So it's so weird how, things can shift and change, and like it's just when it's your time, it's your time. That's the way I think of it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's whoever's on stage that day.
Exactly. I love it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that kind of proves that bodybuilding has been like this from the beginning. Like especially
Hmm.
in it was figure then what you were doing, but bikini now you can get Olympia qualified one weekend and then the next weekend place sixth place.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's like there's so many beautiful bodies.
Yes,
I
there
mean,
are.
people like I get, sometimes I'll sit, sometimes if I'm not judging a show and I'll sit back in the audience and I'm thinking, well, I don't know if I would have them in that place. Da, da, da. But then I remember you're not sitting at the judging table, Lisa. You have to sit at the judging table to see what we see.
Yeah,
I don't care if you're sitting in the first row behind us. You still need to be right up again. That's why we have the table where it is so that we can see everything. And so, I understand that people get frustrated or they're like, I didn't see that at all. I don't understand that. Well, there's been times where I've thought that too. And then I'm like, wow, hold on, let me like kind of get behind and peek. And then it's usually what they're saying. So pictures are deceiving, videos are deceiving. Like it's so subject, you have to be at that table.
for sure. Yeah, you can never draw a concrete conclusion after looking at pictures or video from a
Mm-mm,
show. No.
no, no.
So, but all I look at that as are just like study tools. So, what's the most I can take away from this?
Hmm.
Maybe cross check that with what the athlete's feedback was, and then if Tyler
Absolutely.
does a recap on it, and then
Yeah.
take all of that and then
Mhm.
form an opinion. But the opinion at the end of the day is I wasn't there, and the judges have been doing this for quite some time.
I've been doing this since 2000. Oh my gosh, 2007. I've been judging since 2007. So, yeah, and I still am learning. I mean, I'm always like, whenever there's a new judge, or I judge a lot with muscle contests. I've been up to NorCal, New Mexico. Um, I'm going Colorado. I'm going out to Santa Fe in August. Like, so I've been all, and I got to experience judging with so many different people, especially on the national level when
Yeah,
the big boys come out from the East Coast. What a blast! It's so interesting to hear like their perspectives and the way the verbiage that they use, and then sometimes like people are so um not as eloquent when they're giving like and some people are fantastic at it, and some people are just very basic at it. They're just getting their point across, not that they're not good at it, but they're just getting their point across, whereas some people are more detailed, and I love listening to that detail because it's just like, oh wow, yeah, like I can totally see that now where I might have missed it, right? So you're
yeah.
always learning. Always. We're never perfect.
For sure. Yeah. And from what I understand, you give very detailed feedback yourself.
Ashley, I love
And
her.
which I love because it's the tiny things that make the biggest differences.
She
Well,
is so funny.
yeah, well,
Ashley, you're talking about Ashley.
yes, I'm talking about Ashley.
She's because she said to me, she goes, girl, I want the good, the bad, the ugly. I want it all. I said, are you sure? Because I had taken tons of, and I had followed her and watched some shows of her for many, many years before I ever actually got to judge her. And so then when I did, I was like, okay, well, and it was like this long. And she goes, wow, I've never had that detailed feedback. I said, you asked for it. She goes, no, 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 it's great, because she's so amazing. Like, you literally
Yeah.
have to find the flaws to pick her apart. You
Yeah.
do. You have to literally like look for the littlest, tiniest thing on her.
Yeah, and you
It's very
don't
difficult.
have the career that she has if
No.
you are
Oh gosh, no.
if you won't take feedback from judges.
Oh, she is so easy. She is
Yeah.
such a just a really she actually really is a very neat, genuine, graceful. She's so iconic in our sport. She really is.
Yeah, she was the first person I understood that you can tell who someone is by seeing their glutes.
Oh
um,
yeah. Oh yeah. And she's
but
crazy. She's also crazy. She's so funny. You never expect it from her, but if you look at her TikTok and her social media, she's hysterical. I'm like,
she is funny.
how do you do that stuff? How do you flip and do the worm in your heels and then go backwards and like girl. God bless her.
And I'm especially invested in this saga of her getting new kittens. I'm loving
Yeah.
the
Oh
cat.
yeah. I love animals. I'm obsessed with animals. Like, we
Me
just got a
too.
bearded dragon, and she's my baby. It's just like, oh maybe, oh she's so cute. Look at her. Oh yeah, I love her.
Look at her like there. Oh my gosh. Well,
Oh, I have
okay.
8,000 pictures already. Look at her posing. Did you see that? She's smiling. She opened her mouth. Look at her hand over. Like, oh yeah, I'm so obsessed. It's so
Oh
bad.
my god, that is yeah. That's my
I'll
little
send you the
emerald.
pictures on Instagram. You'll be like, oh my gosh, she is obsessed.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, well I have like a total I could just chat with you all day, but I
I
have a
know.
list of questions. You kind of touched on a few of them already. So, let's talk about first, what does it okay, I'll throw a few at you and you can tell me what you're thinking.
Okay.
A quick one is just who is your Miss Bikini Olympia?
Uh,
Who's your fave, like in your mind? And then a couple more are what does judging look like or testing as a judge look like at each level, and any advice you have for aspiring judges, and then learning curves at each level of judging, especially strategy at a national level. You were saying they're so huge. You have to
oh,
have some kind of strategy when you go in. And
yeah.
then how do you remain objective when you're already a fan? So any of those, if they're speaking.
Okay. So, who's my Miss Bikini Olympia? That is so hard. And I actually, like, when you sent me that question, I was looking, I was like, it's hard for me to say I have a favorite, because I actually have quite a few
Yeah.
favorites. Like, I have a few that I'm just like, oh my gosh. I mean, Isa Piccini being one. She's, oh, and what a sweetheart. Like, just class and grace and poise, and very receptive to feedback. Um, and she's just beautiful. Like, you just look at her, you're just like, beautiful.
When she
Um,
came out in that mint suit in 2019, I was like
girl. Well,
gobsmacked.
so the Olympia last year,
Hmm.
she came out in the red suit in prejudging, and I thought she looked fantastic, but there was something to me that was off. And then when she came out in the blue suit, I was like, oh, why did you come out with that in prejudging?
Okay, cool.
It blew her away. Like, the blue suit made her, and that red suit, that's what it was. It washed her out for me.
Okay.
That blue suit, wow, I was like, whoa. So she needs to wear that next time.
Yeah.
Vanya, I really, really, really love Vanya. I judged her a couple years ago in Sacramento for the first time, and she came out in this gold suit. I can't remember if she placed fourth or fifth, or maybe like the top of second callouts. But I can't remember who sit next to me, but I went, oh my gosh, that woman, her body. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and just with minor tweaks that she's made, which is what has gotten her to winning shows and going to Olympia now. But she's amazing. Like, she really. So I have a few favorites. Like, I mean, I love Jen Dory, dear friend of mine. She, not only on stage is she amazing, but off stage she is just the most down to earth, soulful, beautiful person. I mean, she's so sweet. She loves herself no matter what shape she's in. That's what I love, because this sport is very, very difficult, and it especially on your mind, and how hard you are on yourself physically. And she just loves herself in any shape, which is what
Yeah.
I love that. So she can be 15 pounds, up from contest 20 pounds, and she's like, girl, it's the curves. I embrace it. Like, I love that. She's such a great role model. So I love them all. It's really hard. I don't
Yes.
I, I don't have a favorite. They're all my favorites, because they all really are just beautiful, and they all work so hard. And then when it comes stage time, man, they all bring it. So it's, yeah, I love
They
them all.
do. And the presence, especially on Vanya and Jen for sure.
Oh,
The presence is just absolutely captivating.
yeah, it's oozing sex appeal. I mean, they're just,
Yes.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, you are
Yes.
fantastic. Yeah, they're just gorgeous. And I love that. Posing for me is, that's one thing, is posing can make or break everything for you. Because if you have this beautiful physique, but if you're not showcasing it and you're hiding your strong points, we can only judge what we can see, period. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the best name in the business. If you're not showcasing exactly what we need to see and what you're, somebody else will.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, if Jen were turned like way too profile where we couldn't
hmm,
see like her back shoulder
yep,
and her hair was covering the other one, then
yep,
she's not winning that day.
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
someone else is bringing the shape. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally am with you. It's yeah, and it's impossible to pick. I just asked for fun.
Oh
Um,
yeah, all of them. That's my D, all the above. And that keeps me politically
yes,
politically correct too.
yes,
I don't have someone going, "Oh, so and so's your favorite, huh?" I'm like, "You're my favorite too." Yeah, they're all my favorites. I do have a
exactly.
favorite. I do have a favorite wellness girl though, because you did ask
Tell me.
about wellness. Bruna Seretich.
Oh my God, she
She
just seems so
is.
precious too.
She is she is precious. She's another beautiful human being. And I know her very well, being in Vegas, and
Mhm.
she has come a long way from when I first met her. Just I mean, not only physically, but emotionally, and her lately learning the language, she's really worked hard.
Yeah,
She her body is ridiculous. And I tell her every time I see her, I'm like, girl, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with your body. And she's so sweet about it too. And she's so humble, even when she doesn't place where she wants to, like at the Olympia, or obviously she wanted to place higher, but she's still
mhm.
so graceful about it. She's like, I just still have work to do,
Yeah,
and okay, like get to work. But her body is. Tarek El Gundi even said one day to me, we were judging together, and he says she's just in a league of her own. Her body, she is in a league of her own because she's just so waist is so tiny and her shape is just so pretty. Yeah, she's
yeah.
beautiful.
She really executes the imbalance that I hear
Hmm.
judges say
Yep.
they're looking for.
Yep.
And she is still placing really well, even though
Hmm.
she has like more to grow.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
so
yeah.
it's just a
Hmm.
testament to how much potential she has in the sport. I
Yeah.
totally
Oh,
agree.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Wow. Okay, yeah, so you're an NPC and IFBB judge.
Hmm.
What does testing look like, and what are the learning curves at each level?
So when I tested for amateur, I mean, you never, well, actually, nationals, you sit in the back. Well, when you test judge now for amateurs, you do sit in the front row of a show. And what they do is in the beginning of each class, you write down on a piece of paper what you think your top five will be. And then you keep that, but you also, as you hand that in first, and then you score as you see fit when it's called out. So, and then based on that, they put everything in muscle wear. And so it's, there's never any bias or anything. They put everything in there, and you either pass or fail. Um, so then you judge for, I mean, back in the day, like the rules were a little different than they are now. Just because they made the rule that you can't be actively competing or an actively competing pro to judge any shows now. Back in the
Mhm.
day, you could. So when they made that rule, it kind of cut our judging panels in half.
Wow.
And so obviously we would test and test and test. But national wise, like I think I waited 5 years to test for nationals, which I was glad because it's hard. It's
Yeah,
like the national show I tested for was USA's, and there was like
that's really hard.
1,200 people, 1,200. And Pat Sampson's the one that like convinced me to go. And I texted him, I said, "You have lost your mind. There's 12, you have lost your mind. 1,200 people at this show." And he just like, ha ha ha. So it was like, he thought it was funny. So as soon as I was done test judging, hand all my stuff in, I called him. I said, I failed. So there's no way I passed that. Because I went to finals and I was like checking my notes and I said, I did not pass. There's no way. So I got the call like a week later and he's like, yep, you passed. And I go, okay, who cheated that for me? Because there's no way I bet. He goes, no, seriously, you passed. And I'm like, oh my God, it was so hard.
Yeah,
So that's what I want people to understand. It's like we don't just pluck judges and say, okay, here now you get to test judge nationals. Now, okay, here you get to judge pro. Oh no, we it's hard. You
Yeah.
because again, you have to hand in your top five. And at nationals, I don't know if I've ever seen them, but depending on who's judging, like if it's Steve Weinberger, wow, you better get fast because it's like he's like doop 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 doop. I'm like, ah, what happened? Okay, I think that's it. And then
Yeah.
and so it's super fast. So it's a lot faster paced than what amateur is.
And
And
that's
then for
something I
pro,
always
yeah,
think about. Sorry to interrupt. That's something I always
yeah.
think about with the pace because there's a like big teams like I was on Pro Physique and then Fit Body Fusion is another big team.
Oh, Jamie, my girl, I love her.
Yeah, she seems fabulous. I've never met her, but she seems fabulous. Does great work. And
I
that's something
competed
I
with
always.
her
Oh my God!
with Jamie. Yeah,
Back in
yeah.
figure days.
Back in
Cool.
figure days. Yep.
Well, that's something I always think about. It's so fast paced that people will say like, "Oh, people on big teams, the judges choose them to win because their team sponsors the show." And I'm like, "Girl, there's
I
no
have no clue
time
who's
to watch the
who.
show."
Like I have this bubble. I have this bubble, and literally when I step into a show to judge, I judge and then I'm done. Like
Yeah.
I don't like. I was finding out stuff over the weekend, going, "Really? When did that happen? What? Who? What?" I have no clue because, like, I have a life outside of that, and I don't do all. I don't get into gossip. I don't do like. I stay in my lane because when you do that, you stay very neutral
Yeah.
and you have no issues. But like, I don't know who's with who. So, like even all the top names. The only reason why I know Ashley's with Adam is because we've done the podcast or like I can tell you maybe five of Fit Body Fusion's pros,
Yeah.
and they have tons of them. And the only reason why I know it is because maybe I've met them or gave them feedback, and then Jamie was standing right there, and I don't have a clue. I don't have a
Yeah.
clue who's on whose team, and I don't care who's on whose team. I don't.
Yeah.
Again, the body that presents the best on that day is who gets it. Period. I mean, perfect example. I love Ashley Kaltwasser. Everybody loves Ashley Caldwasser. Almost every show she goes to, she wins.
Yeah.
Well, on this specific day, it was a muscle contest. It was in Nevada, Nevada State, and Alice, can't remember her last name.
Alice Roca.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful girl. She came out, and we were all like, "Whoa, oh my, this this might be the one that beats Ashley here."
Yeah.
And it's in Ashley's hometown, right? Now, mind you, Ashley's always consistent. She always looks great, and it wasn't that she didn't look great because she does.
Hmm.
But Alice just had a little bit more pizzazz in her posing, a little bit more better presentation, and her waist was small. So like there was just certain things that made her stand out more on that day. And let me tell you, we went back and forth for an hour after prejudging
Wow.
because we just wanted to make sure that, I mean, that's how intense it gets. We wanted to make sure that we dotted our I's, crossed our T's, had all the feedback and the notes written down on why we chose, and Alice won. So it's not the biggest name gets it.
Hmm.
So that's, yeah, that, I mean, that's the best one I can give you an example of, because that was, people were like, whoa, but they saw it. I mean, she was beautiful. They're all
Yeah.
beautiful.
No, yeah, totally. That's an excellent example for multiple reasons. The first thing that came to mind is that I think there was question among fans of like, oh well, Ashley was just bursting full, which I'm loving the full look that Ashley has been bringing
Mhm.
to stage.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and then Alice was more the average of the other people that were on stage. So I love that you say that she just brought more pizzazz and
Yeah,
posing
more
and stuff.
presentation. Yeah, and and like I said, how they manipulate and Ashley's posing has come a long, long way. I mean, I think
Mhm.
we can all agree with that. She'll even say that posing is like one of
Yeah.
her weakest points. And I had a conversation with her one day, and I said, "Look, Ashley, I feel like because she's so humble that sometimes when she gets on stage." She stays in that humble zone. She doesn't get out of her zone of I am sexy. I am number one right now. I have won 52 shows now, I think. And I said, "Girl, when you get on that stage, You've earned the right to own it. Get
Yeah.
out there and pose that way. That's
Yeah.
the best way I could tell you how to pose. So she's gotten better and better and better every time I see her. Her little back pose, I mean, she's doing great. But
Hmm.
Alice just had this, oh my, she was just perfect that day.
And she proved it again when she got 15th at the Olympia this year.
Absolutely. Her first time, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Crazy.
she's just, yeah, just getting started. So,
Wow. Yeah. And another thing about that is, so do you think if Ashley, and impossible to know because it isn't what went down, but you spoke for an hour after prejudging to see are we making the right decision? Do you think had that not been had Ashley's name not been in the picture, it had been someone else who also just looked really incredible and it was a tie
oh yeah,
in the
for
two,
sure.
you
Oh,
still would
for
have had the
sure.
hour long? Okay,
Oh,
cool.
I can't tell you how many times we've gone back and forth because maybe one of the judges might have thought differently. And so then we go back and forth and we hear what they have to say and then they hear what we have to say. And then, and then we reconfirm at night. So we
Okay.
always do that confirmation round at night. Like it's not just like, oh, we call it the confirmation round. No, we do, especially like if we feel it's really, really close. And as you know, they always look different later in the day. So some have the advantage and the luck of getting tighter and some don't. some
Yeah,
some tend to spill over a bit more. So we do always reconfirm in the evening shows for pros for sure, and sometimes the amateurs.
I love that
If
you
we
do
see
that.
some, if we see something that is better, like I did that in Colorado. I was head judging in Colorado in November, October,
Mhm.
November, and there was a couple that I was like, I don't know. I want to reconfirm that. And the other judges were like, yeah. And then we ended up flipping a couple of them. So, sometimes what we might see in prejudging might not, um, convey what we're seeing at finals. So we always want to make sure that we're sure.
Yeah, and that's so encouraging as an athlete too, because obviously you work really hard to get there. Shows are expensive. A
Hmm.
lot of athletes are young, so it's like a huge
They
thing.
travel, hotel expenses, tanning, makeup, even the guys spend money too. Like
True.
it's not cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Coaches, yeah, it's not cheap.
Wow. Okay. Well, I cut you off in the middle of the question. Sorry about that. And I was wondering, so yeah, what's your strategy when you're judging national shows? Like USA's huge one had 1,200 competitors when you test judge for it. So what is catching your eye in those initial comparisons before they do individuals?
Well, oh, and so in the comparisons, so always
Yeah, or
obviously
just whenever anyone
presentation.
walks on stage.
Yeah, I want to see I want to see their presentation. I want to see their energy. Are they smiling? Are they doing too much? Are they being too over the top? Because that's, I'm not a fan of that either.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's not always their fault. It's how they're instructed or coached. But I want to, for me, it's, are they posing correctly? Are they conditioned enough? Are their glutes nice and full? Are they balanced? Is their waistline small? Are they manipulating it so that it's so many things. But a lot of us, what we do is we do like call outs, right? So as soon as we go through all that comparison and we think, okay, I really like this girl for top, because I mean, when you're doing the comparisons, you really can pick out the ones that stand out the most.
Yeah,
It's when it's individuals, it's harder because if you're seeing 50 girls individually first, they all look great,
yeah,
right? But then when you see them 10 at a time in a lineup, then you can say, oh, okay, her quads from the back, she has a little bit too much quad sweep, so she's a little too quad dominant. Her glutes are a little flat. Her glutes are fuller, but they're a little soft. So you can kind of like pick and see out of the best of those groups.
yeah,
And then we write them down. Sometimes if I have a question about it, about one, like let's say we had three groups of 10 and we have to pick a top five, and I have like seven people, I'll put a circle around the two that I think, well, they weren't quite as good as the other. So then I'll relook at them and then send in my top five. But sometimes we'll do top six, top seven, depending on how big the class is. But then when they do actually do the call outs, a lot of us on pieces of paper, so that we don't mix and like get confused. We
Hmm.
do first call out, and then we'll write the numbers of the people that get called out. Second call out, write the numbers. Third, we do this a lot in the pros. Third call out, write the numbers, and then that way we can kind of look and see and put them where we think placing wise. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. Wow. And so, how many national shows did you judge this year? And which would you say was the most difficult? This wasn't on my list of questions to ask, but you're making me wonder.
Actually, this year I didn't. So I went. My poor son, God bless him. Every single year on his birthday, the USA's falls on his birthday. So I have judged that show every year since like 2012,
Okay.
and and so finally last year I said, nope, I'm not going to do it. We're going to go to because we go to Mexico every year, but I was like, no, we're going to go to Mexico on your birthday this time because literally July 29th is when
Yeah.
it falls on this birthday weekend every time. So last year, but the year before, I had judged USA's and Masters USA's, and those are the two main ones that I judge. Last year I judged about 12 shows. The year before I judged 26. So
Wow.
it's yeah, but it was awesome. But I committed to a ton of them because my son had just left for school that year. And
Okay.
so I was like, my baby's gone. So I was
Yeah.
kept myself as busy as I could, but it was a lot. I don't know how Sandy does it, man. God bless her.
Well, yeah,
That
because that's
woman.
all weekends. So it's like half your weekends are booked for the year.
But it's travel. Like, so if you
Yeah.
have to travel and then, the hotel and then, I don't like to, I'm not particular. I mean, I am particular about what I eat, but I like to take my food. So then you get your food ready and, it's great. I love it. But like Sandy does it. I think she had one free weekend the year before.
Wow.
One. I was like, I
And
don't
it
know how
was
she
your
does.
son's birthday.
Oh no, no, no. It was
I'm
I
just
think oh
kidding.
no, it was oh no, for Sandy. No, she actually it was the weekend that she actually plans a family out with her sisters and they
Oh,
go and rent an Airbnb and stuff. But she's almost 73 years old. I don't know how this woman
wow.
does it. She's like she runs circles around us. I don't know how
That
she
is
does it.
incredible.
She
Oh
is
my
incredible. Yeah,
God. I'm
she
so
is
grateful for
for
my
sure.
judges.
But yeah, so last year no national well and then my boyfriend competed in Masters USA, so I stepped
Cool.
back from that one because I know how that can sometimes look. Oh, well, yeah, well, your girlfriend's a judge, and no, I did not judge him. I was there
Yeah.
to support him. So the year before was the killer one where I judged a ton. So
Wow. Oh my
yeah,
God. Incredible. Incredible. Okay, and then so maybe hardest and easiest shows you judged and why?
hardest and easiest shows. I would have to say the hardest one was COVID.
Mm,
That was actually really difficult because we were so limited to what we could do. And I remember the very first show that we had done. It was with Center Podium with it was the Tahoe,
yeah.
and we had to schedule sessions. So we
Yeah.
scheduled, so it'd be like one bodybuilder at 8 a.m. and then we'd have to wait till 8:30 till the next class.
Oh
So we'd be
wow.
sitting there for 30 minutes. It was me, Becky Clausen, and Pat Sampson. And
Okay.
then, and then, and it was like that all day long. And we were just like, oh my gosh, this is wow. Yeah, we just want to go, right? We want to keep
Yeah.
going, prejudging done, finals done. Um, so that was actually one of the hardest ones I mean, from that perspective. But judging wise, I have to say it was in NorCal, and it was a figure show, pro figure, and I want to say there was close to over 30 something pros, and all of them looked amazing.
Yeah.
They kept walking out. I'm like, you're kidding, right? Like, how are we supposed to judge this? They're all so incredible. And of course, Wendy, she won. Fortini, amazing. She so deserved it. But
Yeah.
it was so tough because
Wow.
they all were so on point. Because you'll get shows like that. You'll be like, wow, what happened? They all just came in phenomenal shape. So, easiest show? Wow. I don't even know if there's any easy shows. I mean, obviously the smaller shows, they tend to be easier. I that's the only thing I could say is that like if you happen to I mean, shows are picking back up again, which is great. But sometimes, there's been shows where I think there was only like 70 athletes with like 110 across stage, which is super
Okay.
easy. You're done with prejudging in like 2 hours, right? So
Yeah.
those are, I mean, they're easy just because they're fast. But sometimes some of those shows are like great quality.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So they could have two people in that class, but you could be going back and forth between the two, going, I don't know. They both look great.
You
Yeah.
both could
So
win the overall.
you both could win. So, yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know that there's really any easy show. There's easier on the time, but not
Yeah.
necessarily easy on the quality.
Okay, yes. I guess I meant like, has there ever been a pro show or a national show you've judged where it was like the person walked out and it was just hands down, you're obviously winning this show. The
No.
race is second and third. No. Okay. Interesting. Very
On the
cool.
pro level, no, absolutely not. Those girls bring it. I don't, like I always said, like I couldn't even imagine ever judging the Olympia.
Yeah.
That would probably be the hardest show ever to judge because they all look perfect. And that's how I feel about a lot of the pros, and especially national shows. Like, they all bring their best, right? So as an amateur, you kind of like are still feeling things out and you don't necessarily, maybe you've been working on things, but it's not quite there, or you're not quite sure which division you want to go in. So you're kind of in between. Maybe you just didn't come in condition. Like in the amateur level, it's roller coasters.
Yeah.
Nationals and pros, they're like, yeah, no, we know exactly what we need to do. We're gonna bring it, and they bring it.
Wow. Yeah. There are some national shows where I'm like, top five in this height class could be pros today. Just two of them
Oh,
in the card.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I watch girls walk on stage at the amateur level and go, she could turn pro next week. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And even she was a true novice. No joke. This girl was a true novice. She walked out, won the whole entire show, true novice, novice, open. And we were all like, she's going to turn pro hands down. Like it was
Oh my God.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Wait, do you care to say what show this was? You don't have to.
Oh, I'm trying to think. It was, I want to say, I know it was a Vegas show.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think if it was, I don't know if it was the Cutler or if it was, I can't remember. See, I'm old.
No,
my
okay,
brain,
okay,
my
yeah.
brain,
You just
my
went
brain
too
doesn't remember
close to
things
the
half the time. Yeah. Oh my
okay.
gosh.
Wow, that is so cool. And how cool would it be if that amateur is listening that they're like, oh, that was me.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I'm sure she knew because by the end of the night we were like, girl, you have to do nationals right now. Yeah, we tell them too, like if we, and especially like during feedback, if we feel like someone, because a lot of them are going to nationals, right? And
yeah,
they'll say, what do I need to work on? And it's been so fun to watch people that I've given feedback to turn pro, or people that I've judged as amateur and the national turn pro, like Hope.
yeah.
I love her, and I started judging her when she was still in high school, and then she
That's
went to
awesome.
college, and then she finally turned pro in 2018. Yeah, so it was just so fun to watch her after judging her for like years.
And I
Yeah,
think she just got her highest placing. Was it second or
and
third at the Sean
the
Ray?
yeah third,
Yeah,
she got
third.
third, and she
Yeah,
looks amazing still. Yeah,
she's amazing. She helped me with my posing before I did the Arnold Amateur in
hmm
2024,
yeah,
and it changed everything. She's
yeah.
fabulous.
Oh, she is fabulous. She's a
Wow.
cutie. Hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, what are some, okay, well, you've kind of answered some of these. And I guess my next question is since pro card, well, you can answer this. If pro cards must be awarded, how often does it happen that like somebody who goes pro isn't quite there yet, but you have to give a card out?
None of the shows that I've ever judged.
Okay, awesome.
Honestly, like none of the national shows I've ever judged have I ever been like, oh, they don't really deserve a pro card.
Hmm.
I mean, the West, I don't, I mean, I think they're both like, I have seen some shows online where I'm like, but again, it's pictures, right? And so
Yeah,
pictures don't necessarily depict what is really on stage at the time. So, it might have been the camera angle, it might have been, like not great lighting from that. But from what I've judged, I mean, every single person that we've handed out a pro card has deserved it.
okay, that's amazing and very encouraging.
Yeah.
So what are some, you're obviously very into posing. You know posing is very important. So what are some common posing mistakes? This can be bikini and wellness.
Hmm.
And just common stage presentation mistakes that you see that you're like, just move your hair off your glutes or whatever it is.
Yeah. A lot of the times, so like especially in bikini, a lot of the girls have their hair right here. Well, now I can't see your shoulders, right? Or if it's really super long and in the back, it covers their rear delts. So now we can't see those either, which is something we want to see. A lot of times it's even from the walk coming out, it's very rigid or it's too much and they're stepping too far over or they're sweeping their hips like this instead of twisting and just, walking very slow, they walk too fast. A couple is just the overarching or the pushing of the glutes. I don't think that, I mean, the best way to describe it is I feel like a lot of the women feel like they have to push so hard to get their hamstrings to pop. I will tell you now, I would much rather see your glutes full than your hamstrings popping. That'll be the first thing I look at is your glutes. Then I'm going to look at your hamstrings to make sure that they balance with it and they tie in like they're supposed to,
Yeah.
and that your glutes aren't overpowering and dominating where there's no hamstring support, because then that just makes it look like it's not real.
Yeah.
Um, but when they push so hard because they feel they have to push, get their hamstrings to pop, then what happens is two things. They flatten out their glutes, right? So they just took this and they went like this and just flattened them out. Or they make them wide. So when they push too hard, it widens them. And when they arch too much, it flattens them. And sometimes if their feet are too wide, it makes them look, I don't know if you can see me, but it makes them
Yeah.
just look so much wider. So just making sure, and coaches that are coaching posing should really be paying attention to these things. Like I've even corrected girls on stage that learned how to pose through top coaches, and I'm like, well, you are a little bit quad dominant, so instead of turning your toes out, why don't you just turn them, instead of like a 10 and 2, why don't you turn them to an 11 and 1, like give them a clock visual, and then
Yeah.
that way it's going to kind of take away that quad sweep. Or if their glutes tend to be a bit wider and they're still turning out, turn your toes forward,
Yeah.
right? Because that's going to help kind of like not kick out that outer glute to make it look wider. So it's just little tweaks like that. But definitely like the way pushing, like some of them are really bad. Some of it's like, I mean, sometimes we're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I'll even tell her afterwards, like, you have to imagine where we're sitting. we're sitting almost underneath you. So when you push, we're like, oh, don't push
Yeah.
so hard. Yeah, and I mean, I feel bad because I know that other people can see this, right? And it's not necessarily that they know that they're doing it so much. Um, but it's one of the main things that I correct is that pushing or overarching
Yeah.
or standing too much to the side and they can't see their waistline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes if you turn too far to the side, somehow it makes your waist look bigger. And opening up
Yes.
just a little bit more
Yes.
makes it look tight again.
And my number one thing that drives me insane is, and we talk about it every time in our meetings for new athletes or even veterans, put your number on your dominant side.
Yes.
Because if I have to be on the mic and go, I can't see all your numbers, ladies, please turn so we can see your numbers. And then they're like this, and they're like, and they don't want to move because they think they have a big waistline, so they don't want to show it.
Yeah.
You're already judged. It's okay. I just want to see your number, but they won't move. And then I'm like this, and then I'm asking the person next to me, what number is that? Because they still won't turn.
Yeah.
Put like whatever hip is going to be facing the judges, because a lot of girls think they still need to wear it on their left. Well, if your left side's not your dominant, don't wear it. Wear it on your
Yeah.
right. Your dominant hip. Yes.
Yeah. And that comes back to having a coach who's like, still pays attention to the sport. Like,
Right.
you don't have to wear it on your left hip. Easy,
No.
easy fix.
Dominant side. Yeah, because
Yeah.
not everybody's on their left hip, right? So
Yeah.
I pose that way, but I do know a lot of people that pose with their right facing. So
Yeah. Okay,
mhm,
that's great information. Yeah, the arch is something that I talk to my clients about all the time, and the toes, so important.
mhm,
That way you can
right.
match from top to bottom and you're not overpowering in any way.
Well, and a lot of times too, like they flare their elbows out, so they're
Oh,
making their, if they have bigger lats, they're making their lats look bigger. So turn your elbows in, and
yeah,
then, but when I tell you to turn your elbows in, that doesn't mean squeeze between your shoulder blades. It just means relax your shoulders and just turn your elbows in slightly, so you're almost like hugging your waist.
yes, yeah,
Mhm,
exactly. And then I wanted to ask, I'm going to jump to a wellness question really quick.
mhm,
I've noticed that when wellness athletes, amateur and pro, They will want to, in their quarter turn specifically, make it look like their leg is more developed in that
Hmm.
quarter turn.
Oh, when they do that bend.
A lot of bend. And to
Hmm.
me, that exposes a lack of development rather than
Yes.
makes you look more developed. So, talk to me about that. What do you think?
So, I mean, we can always see the lack of development, especially when they turn around to the back.
Yeah,
So, no amount of bending or bending your knee or pushing is really going to show that illusion, because when you turn around, it's gone. Because there's nothing that you can do to give that illusion when you're near back pose, right?
great point.
Um, the wellness poses are obviously very different, and that's where we can, I like them because we can really break down the lower body. Like, a lot of the women are working so hard on their upper quads. Well, but realize the lower part of your leg, your lateralis and your medialis, is has to be dense as well, right?
Yeah.
So you need that separation from literally the knee up, right? You need that density all the way up. So I feel like a lot of these women are lacking that density in their lower quad area. Um, and then sometimes in the back pose, like I said, if the hamstrings there, great, but some of them are standing way too wide. Way too. We had one girl in on the pro level that I feel could have won, but her stance was so wide that it actually, like, and she had beautiful glutes, but it just flattened them and widened them, and it threw her off. Um, but she had the hamstring depth to support it. But like that side pose, I can't remember, and I probably wouldn't even name her if I did. But I know what you mean. They sit so far in. So what that does is it actually thickens your waist,
Hmm.
right? And if you have any, like, because sometimes they'll have a little bit of excess still back fat. I don't want to say back fat, but back skin.
Yeah, you'll
That
see like the folding.
you'll see the folding. So it's kind of hurting you a little bit. I mean, yeah, they want the hamstring development, but they need to realize that even though you might give that illusion, as soon as you turn around, it's not going to be there,
Right.
right? Same thing with figure girls. Figure girls, that's a trick. When you're in your quarter turns, you have you have your leg that's facing the judges is bent, and your
Mhm.
back leg is straight. So they see the back of the hamstring, but when you're on the stage, it gives the illusion that that's your hamstring in that leg, right? The
Yes.
depth of it. So it's a trick when you lack hamstrings in figure too. So, but I mean, we see it. We see all 360. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes total sense. Especially the part where you said once they turn to the back, we're gonna see.
Hmm.
So no
Yeah.
point doing it in your front post.
Yeah, I'd rather see, like, I want to see, of course, in the side post, we want to see your glute development and your hamstring development, but we're also looking at your waist and your shoulders and your quads, and we're looking at all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, fabulous. Such great advice. I'm so excited to have you.
Thanks.
Okay. And then so Fit Model was introduced. We just had our first show.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I was wondering when this division came out, what were you told to be aware of? And when did you start hearing rumblings of a new division coming out?
When it was posted on social media,
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, well, okay, but I mean, they're obviously getting a lot of flack, but I guess what people, and I can understand some points. Like, I can see, I try to, like, look at every side of the story, right? And
Yeah.
I can see where some people, like the big bodybuilders, to them they're thinking, oh well, basically they just don't have to work out, they can step on stage. But
Mm.
that's not true, right? I mean, they do need to have a level of conditioning. They do need to have full tight glutes, not depth, right? Not that density, or not like the density of the bikini, but we want to see nice tight glutes. We don't want to see jiggling. um we don't want to see shoulder caps. Basically, like a beautiful girl that walks off the beach that you look at and you just go, oh wow, right? She looks great. You don't necessarily go, oh, she's super athletic, but you just go, wow, she looks great. Meaning that she's tight, she's conditioned, not overly, but um and she's got a tiny little waist and a nice round, like a, you know what I equated to is the copper tone booty. Remember that commercial with the copper tone, the little boy with the towel, and he's got the
Yes.
white little tan lines, that little bubbly, cute little
Yes.
butt. That's what I think of it as. I'm like the copper tone booty, because my
Okay.
son had it, right. I was like, oh, you're the copper tone booty boy, but because it was always so perky. So
Yeah.
that's what I equate those glutes to. And again, I wasn't at the LA Fit Expo. But of course, we were madly following it because
Yes.
it was the first one. We're like, okay, let's see. Um, it's hard to judge by pictures again.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So I wasn't there, but I do know Patrick and Veronica and Candace and Brian and Ron very well. And um, oh, my brain. She's Russian and she's gonna kill me because I always remember her name when I see her, but she's amazing. But they're such a good panel. So I judge with them so frequently, and and I know how detailed their feedback, especially Veronica and Candace are
Yeah.
wicked at feedback. So I know how detailed they are when they pick athletes. So I know that they chose the best one on stage that day.
Yeah.
So, but as people have been saying, obviously with the sport, it's a brand new division. It's probably going to evolve a little bit. It's not going to get, like people say, oh, it's just going to turn into another bikini. No, it's going to stay what bikini was. So that's going to be what it is. Like back when bikini first started, that's how bikini was. It was, I mean, yeah, Ashley's abs were a little bit tighter, but they're way tighter now, right?
Yeah.
And her glutes, as you can see from the comparison pictures, her glutes are night and day from what they were when she first started, right? They were
Yeah.
round and cute and bubbly, but now they're like, I work them
Projecting.
5 days a week. Yeah, and
Yep.
they look amazing. So the divisions are definitely going to stay different, and I just would ask that people stay a little open minded about it and just be patient and let it evolve into what the vision is of it. People can't expect like the very first show right out of the gate that all of them going to be just the perfect fit model. It's not, because the next show, someone might come out even better, or even tinier waist, even cuter, perkier butt. Like
Yeah.
that's how our sport evolves. And so people are like, oh, it's just another way for them to make money. No, actually, it's another way for people who are so intimidated by looking at Ashley Kaltwasser's, Jen Dory's, Amy Delgado's. There's no way I could ever look like that,
Yeah.
right? It's a way of people being able to be involved in the sport, that work out, that just don't think that they can get to that level yet, right? It's We look at it as like an entry level division, which I think is great, and I think it's really good for people who really want the chance to do it, but just don't know where to start, and so they can start in there, and then from there they can decide if they want to, oh, maybe I want to get a little bit bigger and just start competing in bikini, or maybe I'm a little lower body dominant from the feedback and I can start going into wellness. So
Yeah.
it's something that kind of like can branch them off into different divisions, but they can't cross over. So that's the good thing. I like that.
That is good. And it helps
Yeah.
with the judges like really refining their eye so they can be
Hmm.
attuned to what fit model is supposed to look like.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
absolutely.
totally with you. I think it's
Yes,
fabulous. I looked like
I
fit
do
model
too.
for the first like 3 years I competed.
Girl, I'm always like fit mom. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always so
So
long and
funny.
lanky, right? Like the only thing I have going for me is that I do have muscle for my body frame, so I could never do it. But yeah, I was always so narrow. Like I
Yeah.
just those like Sydney Gallion, like just she's just a specimen, and I could never look like her. I just can't. I mean, I do have a wider back, but not like that. And her waist is like
I
I don't even
know.
think my kids came out with that small voice. So yeah.
Just the copper tone booty. They got that.
Oh yeah, my son definitely got that. It's so cute.
Oh my gosh.
He
Okay.
would kill me if he heard me right now.
I'm gonna
he's
send this to him. We've been in contact.
he's almost 20. He would be like, "Mom." Well, I mean, it is. It was so cute.
Do you
He
want to
would
go
kill me.
grab the photo album?
I know, it's so bad. It's so bad. I probably have one of him somewhere. I do.
Um, okay, I feel like okay, you kind of mentioned this, but if an athlete is like, "Oh, the judge doesn't like me," and has the ability to hinder my placing, do you have anything more to say about that?
I will tell you this: if my ex-husband was on stage, I would judge him just like anybody else. For one, like we don't make a lot of money, right? So it's not like this is our job. It's our passion.
Yeah,
And I take it very seriously. And I know what it's like to be an athlete, and I would never want to feel like I'm stepping on stage and, oh my gosh, I know that judge doesn't like me, or we had a falling out, or I've stepped in front of them like 10 times and they've never given me good feedback, or they just don't like my look. I would never want to feel that way. So I would never do that to somebody.
Yeah,
And not only that, like when you, I mean, I have judged my best friends up there. I have judged my staff up there. I have judged like unbelievably, like when you're in the sport long enough, you make friends and you know people, and it's inevitable that you're going to have people on stage that you know.
yeah,
But those people are just people when they step on that stage. They are just bodies. Um, and the best one wins, right? So it's, and because I told Zan, it happened to me last year, and I was like, are they serious? Like, they obviously don't know. I mean, obviously they don't know who I am, but I have a very good reputation for being very fair. And someone had complained thinking that I just didn't like them, and which was not true because actually I submitted my score on purpose, the very last one to submit my score after everybody else did, and it was unanimous for the other person. So I
yeah,
was like, okay. And then the head judge at the time had no clue I even knew this person because I didn't say, oh, I know I
yeah,
don't like that. But I didn't say anything. They still to this day don't know that I even knew that person. And I keep it that way because again, I don't bring personal stuff into, that arena, because that arena is specifically for that athlete on stage to be judged what they look like on stage. And one judge cannot affect your placement because we do high lows,
yeah,
right? So if we have five judges, we throw out a high low. So that's three judges are basically judging that person. So you can't sway the decision off your one score.
yeah. Yeah, I am so glad you said that because it's so true. And it's like, if the deck is stacked against you, then why are
Mhm.
we competing in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, we don't have it out for people.
Yeah,
we really, we
God,
really don't.
getting
we're
points.
we're passionate about what we do, and we love what we do, and the last thing we're going to do is just go there with like a vindictive type of mindset. Like I get excited to judge people, and to even people that like that. I mean, of course I've had a couple fallings out with people along the years, and
Yeah,
but I actually enjoy seeing them progress. I'm where I just, if it's their body is the body is amazing to me, and to watch how people can really buckle down and transform it into what it needs to me is like, oh wow, actually they look really good. Like,
yeah,
I'm almost like, okay, cool, I'm mad respect, right? I
exactly.
respect that, yeah. So
Yeah,
I may not have like, I may not be besties with that person, but I can have respect for what they've done and how they've achieved their goals. So
yeah, I think you're totally exemplifying integrity and professionalism in
oh,
what you're
for sure,
describing about how you judge.
yeah,
And you
I
want to
mean, yeah,
remain a judge. So if you keep making crazy calls,
absolutely.
you're getting thrown off that
No.
panel.
Well, yeah, yeah, it's just so silly to me that, I mean, and it's just my brain because I don't think like that. It's just so silly to me that people would feel that way just because I don't think I've ever heard any other judge ever talk poorly of people on stage. You know what I mean? Like I just I don't hear it.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Wow. And so do you aspire to be an Olympia judge one day? You said that you can't imagine, but would you want to?
I would be nervous as hell. Oh my gosh. That would scare me. I've told Sandy that. Well, I'll tell you what scared me one time was it's like Sandy's iconic, right? And she
Yeah.
laughs about this all the time. But I remember the first time I ever judged with her, I go, are you kidding? Like I'm sitting right next to Sandy Williamson. And she goes, what are you talking about? I said, I've never judged with you before. This is a few years ago. And she goes, we haven't? I said, no, but you judged me my whole amateur and pro career. Now I'm sitting right next to you. And she goes, oh, girl. And I remember it clear as day, Patrick Fulgham was on the other side. And she goes, here, Patrick. She goes, go ahead and do the call outs and stuff. And he's like, what? And he's like one of the best people on the mic ever.
Yeah.
And he was like stammering. He was like, or she wanted him to announce the show, and he goes, and so she took it, so she announced it because he was so nervous. And then after then she handed it to me to judge the women. I go, this is the most nerve wracking thing I've ever gone through. I mean, I've had two kids. This is so. I was sweating. I was not. Anyways, it was so funny though. But yeah, so I probably like I have mad respect for all those Olympia judges because
Yeah.
they've been doing it forever. Obviously it's for them, like they're used to it, but man, I think that first time I would just
Yeah.
probably I'd need a change of clothes or something right next to me.
You just need it. You need like a
I'd be
little tip.
sweating. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I need a cocktail.
Oh,
It'd be fine. No, I would love to. I think it'd be fun, but I would. I'm not lying. I would be so nervous that first time.
how
Yeah.
would you apply for it? And sorry, I will let you go. I know we're
Oh,
pretty
you're
limited
fine.
time, but how
I
would
don't
you apply for
I
it?
don't think it's necessary that you apply for it. I think it's just kind of like time that's put in. Obviously like we have a certain panel that have been judging it forever. And the reason why is because they're so good,
Yeah.
right? They've been in the industry for 30, 40, 25 years, like so um it- it's more so of a if someone has to sit out one time but there's so many judges out there, right? There's so many amazing, like, I mean, Steve DeVore, Dominic, Ivan, I like just all these judges are so incredible. It would be so hard to even like think, oh, I might get picked as a judge at Olympia one day. I would, it would be an honor, but
Yeah.
you know, maybe in about 20 years.
In about 20
when
years, Lisa
I'm
retires and
about ready to retire and everybody else has gone through the list. I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, it'd
well,
be super fun.
one final question, and I
Mhm.
did not put this on the list of questions I just thought about
Uh-oh.
during our interview. But do you have any idea who you think might win this Arnold? And I can tell you who's on the list if you want to know.
Oh wow.
Laura Lee is
I
out, and I don't know if Maureen,
Lori's out.
but I've heard rumblings.
You heard what?
I said, and I don't know if Maureen is out, but I've heard rumblings, and I've
Oh
never used the
really?
word. Well, I don't know. I just saw speculation, but I don't know if that's true.
I know she was out for the Olympia because of her foot.
Yeah.
Um, but I know Amy's there, Vanya's there.
Mhm.
I know Lori is out. I know that oh my gosh.
You have Tamikia
Mm-hmm.
Carter, and then
Yeah.
you have Maria Acosta, Angelica
Yep.
Teixeira,
Mm-hmm.
Maureen,
Jasmine.
Jasmine,
And then the
and
blonde,
Jordan,
Jordan.
and Ashlyn,
Yeah.
Ariana Brothers, and then the winner of the
Oh,
overall at Arnold Amateur last year, Anastasia Spraggins.
they're all so good.
They are so.
Wow. It's going to be tough because, if you look at the Olympia, you had Amy, Jasmine, and V there.
Yeah.
But now if Maureen is there, that throws a whole nother, kicker in there because she
Mhm.
obviously was a Miss Olympia and she competed at the Arnold last year and took second.
Yeah.
Second? Third. Second.
She didn't compete last year, but she
The year
competed at
before.
the 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Or
year
three.
before. Yeah, because Jen was Miss Olympia last year. But oh god. They're all awesome. I really liked Jasmine's physique at the Olympia. I have to say, I feel like if she comes in just a little bit like less, she was pretty hard at the Olympia. I feel like if she just softens up a tad bit, she'll be giving them a run for their money because she's got that beautiful shape and she's come a long way.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. She's pretty tough to beat.
I could definitely see her winning.
Her look now, she's pretty tough to beat. And yeah, and her posing is like you're just like it's almost like you remember those cartoons where you were floating when you smelled that good
Yes.
food. You smelled that good food and you're floating, and so then you're watching her and you're like, you're like
That's so
floating through the.
accurate.
She's amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
She's pretty much I mean, they're all amazing. Amy Delgado, dear friend of mine too, but she just has it all, I think. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see.
I'm
Yeah,
really
be
excited.
very interesting. Me
Awesome.
too. Mm.
Well, is there anything you would like to share with the audience and then tell us where we can find you?
Well, gosh, just thanks for having me. That was
Thanks
so
for
fun. I mean,
coming.
anytime. I mean, you and I could talk for hours. So if you
Yeah.
think of like 30 more
More
questions,
questions for next
just
time.
text me. We'll jump back on. And just, thank you to all the athletes, for continuing to support, the organization because obviously without them, we don't get to do what we do, and I'd love to give back. So as an athlete myself, you know, I know the difference between a really good show and a not so good show can be like. So we always want to make everybody's experience, you know, just top notch. And it really is important to us. It may not seem like it is sometimes, but it truly is. So, but just, you know, thank you to them. And if anybody ever has questions, they can always reach out to me. I'm on Instagram. I had to change. I couldn't put my IFBB Pro up there because Meta. You have to have your name basically match your driver's
Okay.
license. But so if you want to be Meta verified, so it's just at, and then it's my first name Lisa underscore my middle name Marie, and then underscore Maloy with one L. So that's the easiest way to find me.
Awesome. And I will put that in the description below as well.
Cool. Yay.
And I'm gonna stop the recording, but keep you on for like 2
Okay.
minutes to make sure it
Okay.
uploads. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.